We're back at the WYNN poker room for the second time this trip, trying to top our previous largest cash out of $564. We jump on the waiting list and then eventually find ourselves in the 1-3 game. First hand to note, we have 500 in our stack. We look down at Queen 7 of diamonds from the cutoff. The button straddles on, the small blind calls, under the gun +1 calls, and I don't know what I'm smoking here, but I put in the call as well, and luckily the straddle checks. So going 4 ways to the flop with 27 in the pot, which comes Queen 10-4, 2 spades. We flop top pair, under the gun +1 now leads for $20. I can't be calling Queen 7 pre to fold when I hit top pair here, so I put in the call, and now the button spices it up and raises to $70. If I was in his shoes, this looks like a good spot to make a move with a Jack 9 or spade draw type hand. All of us just limped into the pot, so we shouldn't have too many strong hands like top pair, top kicker, and sets. The small blind puts in the fold, under the gun +1 folds as well, so the action's on me. We have top pair here, and like I said, I can find a bunch of hands in his range that he could be making a move with, so I call. Heads up to the turn comes the ace of diamonds. I check, and the button continues to put money into the pot, this time for $125. When he bets here for a second time, he's telling a good story. I think a call here is fine again, but I'm a degenerate. I want to put the maximum pressure on his spade and straight draw / better queen type hands, and I go all in for $400. It's $275 more to him to call, and he's getting a decent price. But that's what makes this look pretty strong. So ultimately he tanks for a very, very, very long time and ultimately folds, which is music to our ears, and we scoop that $712 pot right out of the gate. My buddy Brad came to play with us tonight, and we catch him in a hand winning an all-in with Jack 9 for a straight. Nice hand, Brad. $700 now in our stack. We look down at Big Slick from the small blind. The straddle's on, 2 calls to me, I raise it to 27, and just the big blind calls. So we're going heads up to the flop, which comes Jack 5 deuce rainbow. I make a standard c-bet here for $21. The big blind calls, so we're going heads up to the turn. 108 in the pot, the turn comes a 4 of hearts, and I size up now and continue telling the story of an overpair or a top pair, top kicker type of hand. I bet $85. He doesn't call, but he doesn't fold. Instead, he shoves for $280. Obviously, we just have ace high here, so the decision seems easy from the surface, but it's just a weird line from him by shoving the turn. He's in position, so if he had queens plus here, I think a call makes the most amount of sense. The 4 of hearts brought in the wheel straight, which I guess he could be calling with pre, but that too seems unlikely. But with just the ace here, I find a fold, and he takes that one down. $580 now in our stack. We look down at American Airlines, pocket aces, and I raise it to $16 from the button over 3 limps. Under the gun limper and the cutoff call, so we're going 3 ways to the flop. Flop comes 8 of spades, 10 of spades, 7 of diamonds. Checks to me, and honestly, this might be one of the worst boards possible. When we think about our equity here, we should have around 35 to 40%. However, it's going to be very hard to realize this equity given the fact that there's so many turn and river cards that are terrible for us. Like, how do we proceed on any spade, any 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or jack? I should just be checking here a decent amount of the time, but in this situation, I go for the c-bet to $35, and surprisingly, both players fold. Not sure how nobody had a piece of that board. We now step away from the action to show you guys a wholesome clip of a nice young lady on her way to church. Bless her soul. You know who the real MVP of this video is? It's our mans over here who resisted the urge to take a sneak peek. Okay, back to the cards. 610 now in our stack. We look down at ace 9 of diamonds from the under the gun +1 position. Under the gun limps. I limp, the button raises to 6, the big blind and the under the gun position call. I call as well too. 4 ways to the flop comes ace of spades, jack of clubs, 3 of hearts. We flop top pair, and the action checks around. The turn is the 3 of spades, giving us 2 pair and bringing in the backdoor spade draw. Big blind checks, under the gun bets $10, and with top pair here, we put in the call as well, and the others fold. 45 now in the pot, the river comes the 9 of clubs, improving us to a better 2 pair. Under the gun now checks, and I'm going to go for value here, and I bet small, $10. He folds, we drag that $55 pot. $600 in our stack. We look down at queen jack of diamonds from the button. Straddle's on, 1 call. I raise it up to $21, and the straddler, our homie Brad, and the under the gun caller call. So going 3 ways to the flop with 85 in the pot, which comes jack, 8, 3, 2 hearts. We flop top pair, and the action checks over to me. I bet a third of the pot here for $28, and now the big blind shoves for $87 total, and Brad folds. I'll make a very easy call here, so we're going off to a run out. The turn comes the 10 of clubs, river comes the 9 of diamonds, so we end up with a straight, but he has a straight as well. He shows queen 10 for the absolute air ball on the flop. I guess he had a gutter ball, but we unfortunately chopped that with a straight. What the heck just happened? 622 in our stack. We look down at jack 9 of hearts from the big blind. Hijack raises to 10. The small blind calls, and the WYNN must have pumped some extra oxygen into the vents this night because I 3-bet to $33. In a vacuum though, I don't think this is a terrible play since we should be 3-betting or folding here, but this is definitely at the bottom of our big blind versus hijack 3-betting range, so I think I could find some better spots. Surprisingly, both players make the call, so we're off to the flop. Flop comes 7 of clubs, 6 of clubs, 5 of hearts, which isn't the worst board. I flop a gutter to the straight, the small blind checks it to us, and with us being sandwiched in between two players, or monkey in the middle as my poker coach Alvin likes to call it, I think the right thing here is just to check and get some more information. Instead though, I bet $41 and both the hijack and the small blind fold, so results orientated, it seemed to work out nicely. Sorry Alvin. This table turned into a nit fest, so I changed tables to get some better action, and we looked down at ace king of hearts from the button. Under the gun, who later introduced himself as a vlog watcher named Adam, shout out to you, raises to $16, and even though that's already a strong play from the under the gun position, a re-raise is in order all day here, so that's what I do. I pop it to $55. Folds back around to Adam, who now 3-bets me to $125. I think that the sizing of his 3-bet is pretty small, especially considering the fact that he's out of position. I would expect something in the neighborhood of $200, even up to $225. So given the fact that I have a premium hand, I'm getting a great price, and I'll be in position the rest of the hand, I make a no-brainer call. Heads up to the flop here, which comes ace, king, 8. Amazing flop for our exact hand. Additionally, we block aces and kings, so it's going to be very hard for us to get away from this one. Adam gives up the betting lead and checks to me, which isn't a good sign, so I size down here to 1/3 of the pot. I bet $75. I think there's also merit to checking back this flop here and seeing what Adam does on the turn. I think occasionally he could be checking with aces or kings and trapping, but unfortunately in this spot, after I bet $75, he makes a pretty quick fold and later told me for the vlog that he had pocket queens. Thanks for watching my vlog, Adam. Ace 5 of hearts from the button. I straddle because Vegas, baby. Cutoff's no fun though, and he raises us to $16. I call, and the big blind calls as well, so going 3 ways to the flop. Flop comes 7, 5, 4. We flop middle pair, and it checks to me. I bet $25 here, which I think is kind of ambitious, and both players call, so we're going still 3 ways to the turn with 124 in the pot, coming the 4 of diamonds. Checks now to the cutoff, who takes the betting lead away from me and fires $50. Interesting line by donking into me on the turn. He was the initial raiser though pre-flops, so it could make sense that if he had like an overpair, but I would expect those hands to continue betting the flop, or if he checked the flop, go for the check raise once I bet $25. Regardless though, I make an easy fold, and the big blind does as well, and sure enough, he shows pocket queens and scoops that pot. We rack up and head to the cage. I'm out of the game for $649, so a profit of $149.
This is the Pocket Jack. It's a phone holder. A big one. It holds a majority of phones and tablets. It's adjustable and durable. Visit the description to get one today.
Alright guys, that does it for this video. We got into the game for $500, out for $649, a profit of $149. If you guys like this video, be sure to like it, subscribe if you're new, leave a comment down below, and I'll check you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for all the support. Let's keep it up, and thanks for watching to the end of my video. Click my head below to subscribe and stay in the loop. See you next time.